Hello and welcome to Fooling Them, a show which talks to foolers and people that have been on the Foolish Show and their experience with the Penn and Teller Foolish Show. We have 11 seasons, so that should provide quite a bit of content. And we have a past fooler here with us today, someone that I got a lot of advice from before going on the show to do my act. And I had actually interviewed this gentleman on the Something Up My Sleeve show. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with David and his experience on Fool Us. But I'm so glad to have him back. What a great guy and so knowledgeable about magic. Welcome, David Corsaro.
What's up, buddy? How you been?
Doing great. I love this look you have going. It's like you're like doing an impression of Tim the Toolman Taylor. You're gonna paint the walls or something.
If I have to, I'll grunt and everything like that, just like real men do.
You kind of look like you're set up for an illusion where all of a sudden like everything's going to change around you, including your shirt and
I guess
right.
you never know. That's why people have to watch this to the very end. You never know what's going to happen.
I hope I didn't ruin it because that would if you'd been like, damn, why did you bring it up? I like now they're not gonna be surprised. You know, this total Copperfield moment. What do you like better? Because we don't really need to see the top of Teller's head. What about you like this?
Listen, man, this is your gig. I am so proud of you for your performance on Penn and Teller. Not
Thank you.
only was I just thrilled that you fooled them, but you just did such a great job representing magic well, representing yourself well. It was really great, man. You should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you. That was and as per your advice last time, that the number one priority is not to fool them, and then the first step, if you're trying to take the first step to getting on the show, is not how do I fool Penn and Teller, because then you're taking a step in the wrong direction. And that made so much sense. And that was probably Meadow asked me what was the most challenging thing about the whole experience, and I had to think for a minute because there was a lot of challenges, obviously, and mainly is like for me the deadline, getting the video in on time to even be considered. That's always a huge challenge for me personally, and the challenge of figuring out the act. But I guess one of the challenges that I hadn't really like thought about was getting over that fooling them aspect and actually getting in the mindset of I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
And I did. And by reminding myself that and walking out and knowing they want to have fun, you're here to have fun. This is about entertainment. I was able to get in that zone, and that's why I had such a wonderful experience. And of course, it helped that everyone there treated me so well, and they sort of shook the nerves out. Now I don't know when you went if they were using the curtain, or because I had to stand middle stage for a few minutes while they set up the shot. So you're already seeing the audience, you're already seeing Penn and Teller. There's no like walkout. But what was great was they're looking at me and just like reassuringly, like Teller's looking at me like I'm an old friend, even though we've never met, and just kind of smiling and looking excited about what I have to offer. And that really relaxed me and just put me in the right state of like, we're here to have fun. Do you remember what was there a curtain for you?
So I was there just a little after like COVID was really bad.
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
so it was a little bit different of a scenario. So I didn't get to see Penn and Teller until Allison said my name and I walked out. That was the first time I'd locked eyes with them. But I will 100% agree with you that the staff and the people who work backstage on that show were so helpful. They were so reassuring. I said this to the producers, Lincoln and Andrew, multiple times. I said, really, you guys got the best crew possible here. They just really want to make sure that you do a good performance. And so they went above and beyond, and that made me much more comfortable.
Yeah, they make you feel comfortable from the moment you get there, and they protect the art of magic, and that is super important. Now, one of the reasons that I've been hounding you about being a part of this is because you're so good about keeping all these statistics about what has gone on the show. Now, I don't expect you to remember everything off the top of your head. David did a lecture at the 4F convention, specifically giving us the facts of all the stats behind Fool Us, especially how many 4Fers had actually fooled them. My question is, do you remember any stats that kind of stick out on your head? Because people ask me these things all the time. And what has changed since then, like maybe over the last year or 2 years, as far as that maybe threw you statistically? And we could talk about specific acts after, but numbers wise.
I mean, so what I did was I sort of, if you ever watch my Fool Us clip, I talk about how I watched every episode of Fool Us and paid attention to the words that Penn used when describing each act. And so I literally had data. I'm a nerd like that. Like I
Oh, so
literally
that
had
part,
data
so that didn't have to be true, but that was true.
that I went
Like,
back and watched everything. Yeah.
well, no, I mean, but that the words, those were the
No,
actual most
those
used
weren't the
words.
exact words he
Okay.
used, but I did go back and watch everyone to pay attention to the words
Yeah.
he used.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So I did do that, and I did pay
Right.
attention to the words, and I had to make a few little adjustments for presentation purposes, but I did really do that, and I did pay attention because I wanted to see sort of what was really sticking in his head as he began talking to each person. Was he talking about creativity, uniqueness? I wanted to sort of narrow down on that. But needless to say, so I did all that research and I had all these numbers. How many people have been on the show? Men versus women, card tricks versus non-card tricks, and then broke apart all of those based off of who's fooled them. Regions, people who've been to 4F, because that's where I was doing this particular talk. And it was really fascinating to me. There's been way more magicians on the show than I realized.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you go back and do the math in your head, 11 seasons, X number of episodes, 4 magicians per, bunch of repeaters, Helen Coughlin's been on 6 times, Farquhar and all these other, everyone's been on a bunch of times. But there really are a large number of individual magicians who've been on that show over 11 seasons. It's really
At least it's got to be. I mean, in my head, I'm trying to do it fast. I don't know how many episodes, but we're talking about over 500 at least. Like,
yeah, it's just about that.
Yeah.
I think if the last time I counted it, I think it was like at 420 or 520 or something like that.
Wow, a lot.
And then one of the things that I thought was great, and this was something that came out after I did that Fechter's discussion. Somebody asked how many women have been on the show. So I went back and I took a look, and I believe the number, and this was 2 years ago, so don't quote me exactly, but I believe at the time it was like 14%, 13% of all of the acts on the show have contained a female magician, which at first my thought was like, oh, wow, I kind of, thought maybe it would have been a little bit higher. And then when you stop and you go back and do some research and find out how many women there are within the magic community, Penn and Teller show really over indexes on that, which I think is a great job on their part to make sure representation's done really well. We've got so many talented women out there in magic. They need a place to, it's great to see them have a place to shine.
But just so we're clear, women can't do magic, right?
I mean, I have seen a few people post that on Facebook. I have seen that with, the smiling eye, the wide eyes emoji. Did you see the female? But let's be honest. Most of them can kick my ass. So let's be honest.
The problem is, I think the reason that there aren't more women in magic is because when there were more women in magic, what did we do? We burned them at the stake. So why would anybody want to learn card tricks if you're risking your life?
That was a while ago, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure that was.
It was at least. It was. I mean, it was before the last convention. So
I gotta check that out. Yeah. So the point was that there's great representation on that show, and having all those numbers and kind of really seeing the data behind the amount of magicians who've been on, where they're from, what kind of material they're doing has been pretty interesting.
So percentage of card trick wise.
So that was very high, but trending down. So what you saw over time was where in the first few seasons, that number was, in I think the 30 to 40% range. It's sort of trickled down over the course of years.
Well, and we were sort of warned that you have less chance of getting on with the card tricks because there's so many of them and they do want variety. And that was one of my concerns. And I figure maybe a reason that I wasn't on sooner was the fact that even though at the end, there's nothing in my hands and though it's about imagination, the fact is it still qualifies as a card trick. In fact, the theme of the episode was House of Cards. So they still consider it a card trick, of course. And that can work against you. And just the fact that they want so much variety. In fact, that kind of made me nervous. I was surprised when I saw when she comes out and says like the theme tonight is everyone's doing a card trick. I was like, oh God, great. But obviously very, very different stuff. All the way
I mean, the
around,
one thing that I kept saying over and over again is that your goal, if you want to be on the show, your number one goal should be what would be good for the program? What would be a good trick for this television program? And try to appeal to what the producers want to see. not what you think's going to fool Penn and Teller, not even necessarily what's going to represent you the best way. But if you stop and go, you know what, I think this would be a great trick for the show, and put yourself in the mindset of what the producers are looking for,
Yeah.
I think that gives you a much bigger advantage versus a lot of other people.
That's probably the best advice you could give anyone who's submitting, because everybody has in their mind, and you can't get out of your mind, what are Penn and Teller going to like? What's going to impress Penn and Teller? Will I fool Penn and Teller? Well, you got to get in front of Penn and Teller. And so what you should be thinking about is researching, okay, who are the producers? Who's watching my video? What's going to catch their attention? Because until you catch their attention, forget it. Then there's no reason to even think any further than that.
Right.
And that was like when you said that before, it's just like, wow, you can hear that, but it's hard to get out of the mindset of the entire time thinking, what are Penn and Teller going to think, and get past that.
Yeah, and I found that that's where Michael Close was so invaluable to me, is that his ability to go, great, love the trick, perfect for television. Now let's talk about how to make it the best possible spot for you. Let's talk. And he had so many great suggestions for me, where to stand, how to have Penn and Teller sitting, there were so many, he had so many brilliant ideas to make what I brought perfect for representing me on television. And I cannot thank him enough for everything he did.
It seemed very scripted that you had the script for a while. So thinking that there may have been changes along the way is quite surprising, especially just the fact that you have to remember when to hit that bell every time and not miss it, because then it kind of ruins the whole premise. But hey, I still have mine. Yeah. This is I don't remember. I brought it out last time. I don't remember if I told you the purpose, or if I think I just had it on me. I use it for improv, for my improv classes, but I think I had it on me specifically because I just watched your routine. But this stays on my desk because this is how I tell my cat Fitz that we're done. This is his all done button, because he has the buttons to ask for things. So when he's asking for a treat, I cover the button with this, hit it, and then he jumps off the desk because he knows. So it's like a reverse Pavlovian.
Yeah, I guess so.
He runs from the bell. Yeah.
Is there a talent you don't have, Michael? I don't think so.
No, because I think you can add squirrel whisperer to
I saw that.
my resume. I mean, maybe I should just go on the show next time and bring my pet squirrel and do tricks, and like,
again, good television.
Talk to the squirrel.
Good television.
Whatever makes for good TV. Well, actually, tell you what, this is the I don't know if I talked to like Lincoln and Andrew about it, but the intro package, Ray Green, who did my intro package, really wants me to come back as Cousin Cajun Mike.
I've seen him perform before, and he is one of my favorite characters as well.
Nice. And now that I've done it, I'd be down. That'd be fine. Like, I just, I never wanted my first appearance to be, it's like out of sequence, out of order. If I haven't presented myself, I'm like, this is who I am, and now here's a character I play. Unless that's that's my main focus, or the only thing I'm going to focus on. But that was why I didn't do America's Got Issues, is because I didn't have control over the sequence of event. That's what I call. Well, that, and it wasn't going to make good TV. I had too good of a childhood. I'm like, you guys don't want me. I have nothing to complain about to get the sob story. And Shin Lin took the whole corporate tunnel syndrome thing, so I can't use that now. Thanks. Everybody be like, oh, his poor wrists. But
yeah, I mean, maybe something about the squirrels or the cat will eventually get you back on that program. But in the meantime, just
focus on that.
Take solace in the fact that you've got that nice backdrop right there showing you holding up the trophy.
Yes. Well, and now that you've called attention to it, let me switch back to here, and let's come back, because I picked up the bell for a reason, or I was doing something in this area, and my ADD kicked in. So I don't want to forget whatever I was about to ask you. So we'll come back, unless you remember. We can come full circle. But this is once you're like, okay, we get it. You were on Fool Us, then I can switch back to my squirrel habitat.
There you go.
And so this is the new little like squirrel condo we have going on for Hazel Cashew.
So let me ask you this, Michael. Where do you keep the trophy?
Right behind your ear. So I had it ready actually to do a gag. I was doing a Zoom call with the IBM marketing meeting, and so I totally had this ready to pull out and do a gag. But no, it's gonna say, well, they made sure that it was tall enough that it can't fit inside of most shelves, like at least the box version, so it sits at the very top. Like it has the spotlight. It sits at the very top of the shelf. So yeah, I
Nice.
have a shelf with all of my many trophies and awards. Because I'm like one of the I had this ready too. I'm one of the only people that can produce an IBM first place award. But not only that, I learned how to do the multiplication trick. these these
Okay,
were
now you're
here.
just showing
These
off.
I am, but those weren't for you. They were for the IBM guys earlier, and they're sitting right here until the cats knock them over. But normally they're back on the shelf. Um, yeah, crazy times for
Yep.
sure. Did not expect to win it at all. Now, that's what it was. I was coming back to. I don't remember. We got distracted with the bell, but at 4F last year, I sat you down and I said, "Okay, I have a serious issue right now. I knew my method was not gonna play. I had figured that out by watching the show that they may not go for it, and I was like, now what do I do?" And I believe what you said was just to do it, to go ahead and do it with confidence, and then see what they say, and let them like don't change it now. In other words, and so I did it with confidence, but I had to change it. I had to end up
And I
it,
think that's fine. I think, again, with your first priority being, let me do something that's going to play really well on television, that's going to make the producers interested, like you had, that gets you on the show. Get on the show, then worry about, now make sure the method's going to work and what can I adjust. And that's where Michael Close and Andrew and Lincoln are going to give their suggestions. But to me, it's the equivalent of trying to get to the major leagues in baseball, or trying to get to the major leagues in baseball and already thinking about the World Series you want to win in the first year. It's like, get on the team.
right.
Get on the team, then work with the team to build yourself up and try to win the World Series. Step one is get on the show, and get on the show with what you have, what's the best thing that you can do, what's going to play well on television. Then once you are on the team and you have Michael and Andrew and Lincoln and everybody else, then talk to them about how to win the World Series and win the trophy. And that's what you did, and you killed it.
Yeah. Definitely unexpected. Was I figured I had maybe a 10% chance if you had to like put a number on it, just because they know so much, and it's just a matter of what are they going to follow. And I don't know if you remember like the stages leading up to that of you've seen me do versions of that routine kind of before, and what's changed about it and led up to it. But I mean, it's still kind of shocking. Like I was looking up, you have to keep it a secret for so long. I was looking up at the shelf over and over, like, is this still there? Is this a joke? Like, are they playing a prank on me? I'm just waiting, until it actually came out, and I saw that no, they didn't lose the footage. Like this is real. It really happened. I wasn't convinced.
Well, let's see. So what episode were you in the season?
So that was episode 9.
Okay, so I was literally the end of the season. I was the second
Oh
to
wow.
last episode, and they had a break during the season. So I think I filmed it in early summer, and I didn't air till the following March.
Wow.
And it was just 9 months of that trophy right behind where my camera is on Zoom, and not being able to tell anybody. It was crazy.
That's the hardest part, I think. That was really the biggest challenge is, can you keep a secret? Can you yeah, magician, can you really keep a secret so that you don't ruin it, and and you're under NDA, so you have to.
Yep.
But to everyone else who just sees this just happened. And that's
Right.
the weirdest thing of like, yeah, it happened and I was really excited, and now I got to remember what happened because that was like almost a year ago. And I related to, like, let's say you're an Olympic diver and you just did this flip and hit the water perfectly, and you're like, you scored it, and you pop out of the water and everybody goes, shh. You're like, what? No, shh, we'll celebrate
Yep.
later. It's like, wow, okay. So, first of all, see if you can guess what this is. I'm working on a bit where I eat an invisible cucumber. Does that look weird?
I can't figure out what the heck is in your hands.
It was a cucumber, and this is a lime.
And what do you
So I
have?
can,
Just you have it green screen painted or something?
no, these are just green. Limes are green, but yeah, it just with the
Oh,
green
because of
screen.
the okay. Now I get it. Cucumber, lime.
I
I get
got
it. I get
I
it.
got invisible. I can do like invisible juggling. Anyway, they were sitting right there. Well, that's something, right? There's something you don't see every day. Something you know. Sorry. All right. Any any plans to go back?
No,
Okay.
no. I
That was an easy one. That didn't take any thought at all.
yeah. I I have massive imposter syndrome when it comes to this. Like, what the hell did I do, and how did I sneak this past everybody? Wait till they realize I'm not nearly as good as they said I was. So as far as I'm concerned, I walked out of the bank with all the money, and I'm not going back.
That made sense. Yeah. No season 2 of Money Heist.
Yeah, it really isn't. No.
Which I love. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. And then I'm like, why would they go back? This is like, I know you want me to keep watching this, but this is so ridiculous. If I got away with stealing $100 million, guess what? I'm done. I am done. This is not, yeah,
And
doesn't
that's
make
my
any
feeling
sense at
about the
all.
trophy. I'm done.
Well, and that's, would you say that the question of whether or not to try again is kind of determined based on who the person is or where they are in their career, their personality, or like would your advice be like once you have it, you have it? You don't, that
I think
it's
it's personality driven. I think it's material driven. If I had, the trick that I did on that show has been my trick for 15 years. And it was only when I said, wait a minute, if I take that trick, but use this different presentation, that's good for television. And so the rest of my material, in my head right now at least, isn't good for television. I'm not going to be like, ooh, I'm going to take this trick that's really a B minus, but I'm going to try to get on the show again. Heck no. I'm good. And my personality doesn't need to try again, and I'm fine with that. If something came up that I went, you know what? That's good television again. Maybe I would. But in the meantime, no second chances for me.
gotcha.
Don't tell me you're already thinking about it.
Well, of course. I mean, I started thinking about it the minute I left. Like you start thinking about, I always tell everybody my best audition is on the ride home. Like that's when you were like, that's when you really can nail it. That's when you get the nervous energy's gone and you're like in the shower later and you just totally feel the character like, I should have done it this way. But well, putting the idea of Cousin Cage and Mike in my head kind of spawned of like, what would I do? Like, what would I do in that routine? And then kind of created a routine that I don't do that I've never really done any Rubik's Cube work, but I kind of created an idea for like a Rubik's thing. But like you said, it has to, for me, it has to be good TV. There has to be a reason that I'm presenting this, and that reason can't be just to try to fool them again or like to try to go
Right.
for another trophy. Yeah.
I mean, listen, you're going to do Rubik's Cube something to me, like when Brian Saint was on that show, he did the pinnacle to me of a Rubik's Cube trick. What he did was so perfect for that show that, in my opinion, like anybody else who wants to do Rubik's stuff, watch what Brian did and then go, okay, I have to have something so different than this that it makes whatever they're going to do worthy. And I think that's a hard mountain to climb because Brian's was so good.
He had a lot of great advice for me as well. I talked to him for about an hour. In fact, I got to get with him. We're going to have him on the show very soon.
Good.
He was on twice, and I didn't see his first routine, but that Rubik's routine, I mean, just
so good,
perfection. Yeah, absolutely. And he had great advice on marketing, which is the next question to you, because what is your advice for somebody like me who has this huge milestone they can use? How do you take advantage of that? How do I ride the wave and not just let that go by and go like,
So a bunch of different things. So when it comes to sort of posting your YouTube clip, be responsive, respond to comments. You're going to get comments. You're going to get some that are nasty and horrible, and you're going to get some that are really positive. Everyone that's positive, I respond. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anybody who's negative, don't say a word, just move right on to it. Don't let it kind of eat at you or things like that. You
I
want
was gonna
your
say
clip
that'll
to
give you
be,
imposter syndrome if you start reading into those things, because
yeah, exactly.
they'll tear you apart, and like then you can't believe any of that. Can't look
Right.
at any of that stuff.
And so definitely feed that clip the right way to give it some legs and make it something that's going to kind of keep moving on. This should be the top of your promotional bio, all or top or bottom, depending on how you use it, all the time. So whenever I'm introduced right now, every time there's an MC or somebody introducing me, that last line is, he appeared on the hit TV show Penn and Teller Fool Us, and guess what? He fooled them. And it immediately gives you such a level of credibility and validation in the minds of the audience that you're starting ahead of the game. So make sure you're using the fact that you've been on this show to the best of your ability, that you have that trophy. Get those pictures out there, make it something that's going to live on as often as possible. And when it comes to your email list, if you are somebody who has a really great email list and you're out there pushing this, that's got to be in your that's going to be in your newsletter or in your list fairly often. Here is the clip. If you want to film, if you want to send this out to all of your mailing list. Hey, you want to hear some behind the scenes talk about Penn and Teller Fool Us? Check out this interview I did with David Corsaro or something like that. Anything that you can do to keep the drive going forward is going to be really good to help you use this to your best advantage.
Excellent. What would you say is a good way to target the right clientele that are the people that are hiring us? Half the time when a video does well, say on social media, something like that, like, okay, great, got a lot of views, maybe I picked up more fans, but who's actually hiring us to entertain, and how are we targeting those people?
So that one, I think there's a misconception, and maybe some people have been able to do this, but I don't think it's the case. I think there's a misconception that you throw your video up on YouTube, the right people find it, or you can advertise it to the right people and they just start calling you for gigs. I don't necessarily see that as being the low-hanging fruit, the things that you can do short term to utilize this win to your advantage. Instead, to me, this is my convincer. So if I'm out there and I'm doing my regular marketing stuff, I'm doing all of my regular promotion, which I talked about a lot in my video series and other stuff, it's when you go, here's my credentials, and I appeared on the hit TV show Penn and Teller Fool Us, and I fooled them. That's the thing that I found makes most of those target clients go, oh, wait a minute. You're not just a magician. You're a magician who's been on TV and has fooled Penn and Teller. So you want to put in the mind of those clients, they're not just hiring a magician. They're not even just hiring Michael Dardant. They're hiring Michael Dardant, who appeared on the hit TV show Penn and Teller Fool Us and fooled them.
Nice. Beautiful. And speaking of marketing and promotion, we haven't yet talked about the show that you have going on that I got to participate in just about a year ago, I guess. It was right after the 4F convention. Mm-hmm. And that is at the Wine Loft?
City Winery.
City Winery. Which is actually a chain, because there's ones in other cities, right? But not here, but there's ones in other areas, and they have beautiful setup like that big stage that you showed me. Absolutely gorgeous. How long has the show been going on, and how is that progressing? Let's talk about your role there.
So after I was on Penn and Teller Fool Us, I was approached by one of the event coordinators at City Winery, which has about 6 to 8 different locations across the United States. And they've got two rooms. One is this huge master ballroom, a huge theater, several thousand seats, and then a smaller one that's got about 200 seats, more of like a comedy club type feeling. And they came to me and said, hey, listen, we don't do any magic here. We do comedy, we do poetry, we do a lot of music stuff. We don't do anything with magic. What could we do? So I sort of put together a plan of what I sort of envisioned.
They do poetry, but they hadn't thought about a magician, but they have poetry night?
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, it's not that they didn't think about magic, but they didn't have something consistent.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so they said, if you did like a once a month thing here, what would it look like? So I said, all right, we're going to have close up. We're going to have stage. We're going to have comedy. We're going to have mentalism. We're going to put all this stuff together. We're going to put this in this sort of unique package. And it's sort of morphed since then into something that I think fits the room a little bit better. But we're on over 3 years now, coming in once a month, typically 3 to 4 magicians per show. You did it about a year ago and absolutely killed. I was so happy for you. The audience absolutely loved you. You did a great job. Um,
Thank you.
and it's been so
I'm
much fun. It's last Tuesday of every month, New York City, City Winery. This month, I've got Tiffany Allen and Peter Samuelson on the show, which both are
nice.
absolute masters. They're fantastic.
Peter Samuelson was just on Fool Us, the episode I think right before I was, and well, I just saw Tiffany on the IBM Zoom call. She's helping with the marketing there as well. So
Both of them,
yeah,
great
small world.
people.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
been one of the things that I'm most proud of doing this show is that I'm lucky in the sense that I've got a really rich pool of magicians who are pros, who are nice people, and who want to do this show. And when you put those people together in a room, it elevates the entire show for the audience. It makes the whole experience for every magician on it better. And that's one of the things that I'm absolutely most proud of with this.
Well, and you're in a great location because you've got good magicians that want to do the show that are also going to be passing through at some point because you're essentially in a vortex that if you stay in one spot, everyone you've ever known in your life will pass in front of you at some point.
Hopefully.
I used to realize when I lived in the French Quarter of New Orleans, I realized if I just sit on my front step, basically everyone I know at some point would pass in front of me like that. This is a social vortex, and that's definitely an advantage there. It was a fabulous crowd. That's exactly the type that I love performing for. I mean, you put me in front of like comedy club style, that's where I'm gonna rock because I don't do like big illusions, and I really don't do a lot of like bigger props, but it all, I obviously lean toward comedy. Now, one thing to point out, I'm guessing you do this every time, is recording the show and giving the footage to the performers. So many performers need footage of that type of show. That's so hard to do sometimes to set up a professional shot, even from one angle. And I didn't know till after. So that was a huge bonus of like, here you go. I was like, oh, wow. Because I remember thinking like something funny happened. I'm thinking, God, of course I didn't. I wish I'd have recorded. I didn't like set up my camera. Oh no, we got you covered. It's the whole thing was recorded. So
Yep.
got it's amazing footage. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's been a great it's a really great experience. I'm hoping it continues on. They tend to give us like dates 6 months out in advance. So right now we're going through at least the end of August, hopefully much further beyond that because it's been a lot of fun.
cool. Well, I'm going to close with this by making it all about me.
Of course.
Um, and also because I don't want to take up too much of your time since I want to keep bringing you back. And as you know, I've told people I want David to be a part of this because he's so knowledgeable about the show itself. Of course, another fooler. But once I realized you put all the statistics together, something that the work that I would never do, I realized I gotta stay on this guy's good side so that he wants to keep providing me with this awesome information. So my question is, what of my act did you expect, not expect, or well, yeah, what were your thoughts, or like anything specific that since you saw kind of the development?
So I'll tell you that you began leaning in a direction that made me nervous.
Okay,
Okay, because as you're
to the left.
pulling out the invisible versus imaginary and all these
Yeah.
things, my quick thought was, oh no, I hope Michael's not going down the direction I think he's going to go in all of a sudden. And you didn't.
Okay.
And I think that was because I know what you're capable of. I know where your humor is. I know where your creativity is. I know what makes you really unique. And so I was hoping you didn't compromise any of that to just get on the show. And you didn't. You did everything the way that put Michael Dardant in the best light.
Cool.
And again, I think that's really important. I think the end result, again, there's 2 steps. Get on the show, make what you're doing on the show as best as possible. And I'm really proud to see where you got it to for that final performance. Everything from what Brooke was talking to you about to Penn and Teller's response to just the way you looked on stage. Even something as simple as that fit who your character, not character, but who you are as a person.
Right.
Which is who your character is on stage. And it was really great.
What was the path what path did you think I was going down? Did it involve the imaginary table I was going to knock over?
No, it was involving an invisible deck.
More about the invisible deck. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just
Yeah.
hoping you weren't going to go to, because look, we've seen other magicians on that show. I've seen other magicians on that show who I know are really talented, but they do a trick that I think is a little beneath their experience level for a variety of different reasons. Some of it
Right.
within their control, some of it not within their control. But you did something really unique and different, and that was aligned with exactly what you should have done.
Interesting you brought that up because, and I don't want to say the name because I don't want it to sound like disappointed or I'm saying anything negative about a performer, but I saw that recently where I was like, wait, based on the routines I've seen in the past, why is this happening?
Yep.
Like, why are we not seeing what you should have spotlighted, whether it would fool them or not? Who cares? Like, this makes you shine. And I started wondering, is it like a lost luggage situation, or like did something happen? Because it made no sense to me of why you wouldn't be featuring this. But we're not in the room there with the producers on the Zoom
Right.
call discussing and figuring this stuff out. But yeah, it makes you wonder sometime what the
But
choices
again,
come down to.
no judgment on that, but it is what it is. And that's what I was just hoping that you were going to do something unique
Yeah,
and different and something that highlighted you well, and you did.
excellent. And using a different method than what was originally
Yeah,
intended. Yeah.
smart.
So now the idea is to lead everybody on the wrong path.
That's it.
Yeah. So they can keep them guessing. I will tell you this, which I think I did a recording for the IBM podcast.
Yeah.
They're doing, and I may have mentioned, but there is a little bit missing from the edit, and I'm not sure if it's due to time or due to drama, because those are crucial moments actually that are missing and kind of answer the question that Penn and Teller I think had. Uh,
Interesting. Okay, now I
yeah.
have to go back and rewatch it, but
Okay.
with the eye of
Uh,
what can I
well,
find?
and
What's
just
missing?
if somebody wants to do the research, because I'm not like revealing secrets on the show, but if somebody wants to do the research, I give a ton of credit to Danny Dortiz because his lecture inspired me of what kind of method I was going to try to use. And so that kind of gives you a clue or a hint as to if you
Okay.
really follow his technique to what I was doing. Someone actually asked me, and I didn't realize. I was like, what? Something was missing, and someone actually asked me about it, and I was like, that's what it was. That's the part that okay, that was missing.
Okay. Now I have to go
And
look
it
that
makes
up.
me wonder though, because that edit sort of, you could look at it two different ways of whether or not it works for me or against me as far as the
Hmm.
fooling aspect. So maybe it'll just confuse people even more. We'll
Hmm.
just have to see. We'll just have to
I
see
didn't
who
notice
spotters me
anything
on
off
YouTube.
off the first watch, but now I'll go
Okay.
back and investigate further.
I mean, in a sense, and I'll tell you more about it when we're not recording the stream. But it's definitely really funny. It's definitely
Cool.
a laughable moment when you think about it. Cool. Yeah. So I appreciate the feedback. Couldn't wait to get you back. I'm trying to get back everybody that I discussed with ahead of time, and this is kind of 7 years in the planning of me finally getting that act on there,
Yeah.
and want to hopefully bring you back and discuss some of the other acts, go over, even sometimes we may not have access to interview somebody, but we can kind of do a rewatch and then go over it. What do they call those videos? The reaction videos,
Yeah.
except we don't need to show the footage, we can just react.
I'm in.
We'll just react. Cool. Awesome. All right, well, I will see you soon, I guess, at the end of
At the
April.
least, I'll see you in a few weeks, right?
Love it. All right, and good luck with the show. If you're in New York, make sure you check it out. It's when does it happen? It's
Last Tuesday of every month, Magic in a Bottle, NYC.com.
Magic in a Bottle, last Tuesday of every month. Definitely check it out. Always a great cast, always a great show. Thank you very much, David Corsaro, ladies and gentlemen. Fooler on
Thanks,
Penn and
Michael.
Teller's Fool Us. You got it. And thanks for tuning in. And I will see you next time on Fooling Them. Wait, let me change the background back because this is the Squirrel Show. See you next time on the Squirrel Show. How about see you next time on Fooling Them? Yay.